So, hello sir, my name is S.Siddharth. My roll number is 21IM30019 and I am from section 16. So today for my DIY lab assignment 3, I will be disassembling and reassembling a hair dryer. So a hair dryer is a pretty simple instrument. As its name suggests, it is used to dry your hair when it is wet. There is a fan inside which is run by a motor. So that fan blows out air, and there is also a heating element inside to make the air hot so that it can dry your hair as fast as possible. So this is a pretty old hair dryer. Look at the name, it says National Hair Dryer 700. It's pretty old, but the components inside should be same as any modern hair dryer today. So I have the plug here, so I put it in. I plugged it in, if I turn it on. So it is working right now, it is blowing out hot air. This is the cold air mode, and now it's turned off. As you can see, the blades have stopped spinning. You can see the blades there. So if I just demonstrate how it works, the papers here, so they get blown up. So the hair dryer works. And so to disassemble these, I have these screwdriver tools here. I will be removing these two screws and I will be disassembling it right now. So as you can see, I have removed the screws from the hair dryer. I forgot to show you this side. It has some important stuff, so I'll show it to you now. As you can see, here are the specifications. It says AC, it runs on AC power basically, 240 volts, 50 to 60 hertz and 700 watts of power, so that's pretty high. It says 700 watts because basically a hair dryer needs to generate lots of heat, right? In order to give hot air, it needs to generate lots of heat, so that requires a lot of electricity, which is why it says 700 watts. So generally hair dryers consume a lot of power. And as you can see here, it says off, so it just shows the condition that the hair dryer is in. If I click, it says it's in hot now. Now it says cold, it's cold, and now it says off again. So that's just the indicator of what mode the thing is on, the hair dryer. And here is the grill. It was here in the front. So this is just to regulate the air that's coming out of the hair dryer. It's kind of a safety feature, I'd say. So I will show you the other side and remove the plastic mold. So this plastic mold, it is made through a process called injection molding. So how this works is that you have the plastic, it is raised to a very high temperature, it is supposed to be very hot, and that hot plastic can be molded into this shape. So it's not really a type of 3D printing, but it's a different process called injection molding. Yeah, and that's that. And here are the screws. So these screws are made with brass and steel alloy. So this is done because if you use iron rusts basically, and you do not want this thing to rust because you're going to be using it in places which have lots of moisture, like a bathroom for example. So you do not want these things to rust. So that's why they've used that type of screw. Keep this aside. And here you can see the layout of the components inside the hair dryer. First of all, the wire goes in here. As you can see, this thing can rotate like this inside. There's a casing to hold the thing in place, the wire in place. But when I place this, the plastic mold, you cannot really rotate this thing or kind of pull it out, because that is really important, because when you're able to pull this thing out, you're kind of disrupting the circuit, and that kind of ruins the hair dryer. Worst case, you might create live wires. So that is something you really want to avoid, because you can have like an electric shock or something, which is really dangerous. In fact, I am wearing these gloves because I kind of touched something here by accident, one of these wires, and I really don't want to do it again. So that's that. And as you can see, this wire goes in here. This is just to hold it in place. Two screws are there. They're kind of coated with something else. They've been painted. Those are just plain screws. Some wires, and here you can see that's the switch. This is the switch, and that's just a casing, I guess. So that's the switch. And if you notice this, when I click this thing, you can see the white circle there inside. You can see the white circle, right? That kind of rotates. So when I press the switch, that kind of rotates there. So that's that. And some more wires, and here we get to the fan. So this is the fan. There's a motor inside. The fan inside the hair dryer is pretty basic. It's the same model you find in kind of water turbines and such. So it's a pretty simple fan. This looks to be made of a plastic alloy, but in general, the modern hair dryers, they come with a different kind of material which is known as tourmaline. It is also coated with ceramic. So the material is basically ceramic coated tourmaline. So hair dryers generate heat, right? And you want that heat to be used properly. You do not want it to melt all these plastics, because plastic can melt obviously, right, in high temperatures. So ceramic can withstand high temperatures, which is why I guess modern hair dryers use ceramic. But I guess this is also resistant to heat. In fact, all of these plastics should be resistant to heat. The switch, because wires are going through it, this fan, the motor, I guess everything inside. You get the point, right? Yeah. And ignore this hair here, that's like, it's an old hair dryer, so it's obviously some damage and such. You can see the motor inside. It's an AC motor, as we already saw outside the cover. It's an AC motor. It is held by some casing of some alloy probably, and 3 screws so that it can stay in place when the whole thing spins, when the motor makes the fan spin. I guess some hair dryers also come with a DC motor, but there are different advantages and disadvantages when you use AC and DC. AC motors are more efficient and they have increased power output, whereas DC motors have more range. So this hair dryer doesn't really have range, it just has hot, cool and off. So I guess that's why they use AC motors. And here we get to the most interesting part. This is a sheet. So this is basically kept so that the heat can be absorbed and does not really melt the plastic. This is the sheet. This is a kind of casing for the hot air to go through. And how do you think the air gets hot? You can look inside. If you see inside, you can see this kind of coiled spring, a spring that has been coiled and it has been kept inside this casing. So that spring is made of a material called nichrome. So nichrome, that's a nichrome wire which has been made into a spring. So nichrome, it is an incredible alloy. It's made of nickel and chromium. It is generally used to create heat because it has many properties like, for instance, it has a kind of high resistance. So it does not generate a lot of electricity. So most of the heat, electrical energy, is converted into heat instead of staying as electrical energy. It gets converted into heat. And one more thing is, nickel does not really rust or kind of corrode as time passes. So as you can see, the wires, the nickel in the nichrome inside, it looks brand new basically. So it does not corrode like iron and such. So that's a really interesting thing about nichrome. And yeah, that's it. So what happens is, this fan and motor spins. When I click the switch, the circuit is kind of connected, and this fan and the motor spins and it generates the air to come in. Like as you can see from the plastic mold, air comes in through these vents. Like there's a vent here and in the back. Air comes in and it spins and it goes through this, and the nichrome acts as a heating element. So the air here is cool, but when the air enters inside, it gets hot, and that is when hot air is generated. So that is the basic working principle of this fan, of this hair dryer. And some safety things are there, but this model does not have all of them. So there is a fuse inside. I think these are the fuses, but I am not sure. There are fuses inside so that when the temperature gets high, the fuses kind of melt off and they kind of destroy the circuit. So the circuit gets disconnected. So that is one safety feature. Usually there are also a few more safety features, such as there is a bimetallic strip somewhere inside which can cut off the heat when the temperature rises too high. This bimetallic strip can cut off the heat so that there is no more the temperature does not get too high, because when the temperature gets too high, you can either damage this or even damage your scalp, because that is also a problem. And as you can see, there are grills here, and there should also be insulation. So these wires are basically insulation, but there should be more insulation. This does not have as many safety features as modern hair dryers do, but it's pretty good because it has been working so far. One more thing, I tried removing these things to show you what exactly they look like, but it's kind of tough. As you can see, this has been held together by screws inside. I do not want to remove them too much because it's kind of hard, and I already got shocked once. That's why I'm wearing these gloves. This kind of comes off a bit, but since it's wires, I'm not able to get it through fully, and this is obviously screwed. I need to remove all of these screws, which I am not doing. But I can kind of take this out. I can show you the inside. That's that. And yeah, so that's it. I really researched a lot and I found a lot of things interesting. Firstly, I really liked how this motor, the AC and DC motor types of motors, and how the principle works, and how this nichrome wires, that is also interesting. So I really like those. I will also reassemble it back to show you the fan is working. I'll just maybe show it once here. I will plug this in. I will plug this in and switch it on. So the air here is cold. It's really cool. You cannot feel it, but I can. But the air here is incredibly hot. It's really hot. So that's the difference. If you could feel it, that would be incredible. But that's not that. Now it's in cool mode and now it's off. So it's working still. I will just reassemble it back to show it to you. So as you can see, I've reassembled the fan, the hair dryer with the screwdriver. I put the screws in. Now if I just turn this on, it's working now. Hot, cold, and hot and off again. So it is working. So as you can see, I will turn it off right now. So that was it, sir. I hope you liked the video. I researched a lot because I really found this whole activity interesting, which is why the video is so long. So thank you.